And the Grammy
goes
to
Billie Eilish.
Amy
Winehouse.
Did you know the Grammys were almost called the Eddies? In the 1950s, music executives wanted to name their awards after Thomas Edison, the inventor of the phonograph. But then, someone had a stroke of genius, or maybe just common sense, and suggested Grammy, referring to the gramophone as a symbol of the industry's roots. And that's nothing compared to the theory behind how the Oscar statue got its name. But more on that later. Welcome to How Grammy Awards and Oscar Statues Are Made. Meet John Billings. Ever wondered who's responsible for the Grammy your favorite artist clutches on stage, fighting back tears, thanking their mom? It's this guy. For over 40 years, Billings has been the mastermind behind every single Grammy Award handed out. And no, it's not some high-tech factory pumping out statues. It's John and his small crew in a small workshop in Ridgway, Colorado, pouring their heart into each one. His story started in 1958, long before TikTok and streaming charts. He was a 12-year-old kid sneaking into his neighbor's garage in Van Nuys, California, watching molten metal transform into the very first Grammy trophies. That neighbor was Bob Graves, the original craftsman behind the awards. It was at that very moment that young John had found his destiny. But John Billings didn't exactly take a straight path to award making. He studied dental technology of all things, mastering the fine art of precision crafting. By 1976, he was back in Graves' garage, apprenticing under the man himself. When Graves passed away in 1983, John stepped up, vowing to keep the legacy alive, promising that the Grammys would remain handcrafted with care. Moving forward to 1993, and Billings set up shop in Ridgway, a town so small that most GPS systems probably think it's a typo. From his 2,000 square foot workshop, he and a team of just 4 artisans create around 600 Grammy Awards each year. That's right, every trophy takes about 15 hours of painstaking work, and John personally inspects each one. And to tell you the truth, John's talents have been tapped for other prestigious awards as well, like the Annie Awards for animation and the John R. Wooden Awards for NCAA basketball. He's even worked on projects for SpaceX. Yes, Elon Musk's SpaceX. And restored historic trophies, including one given to Amelia Earhart in the 1930s. Crazy, right? Before getting into the manufacturing process, let's first explain the significance of the Grammy Award and why it is so highly desired. Winning a Grammy is one of the biggest achievements in the music world. Since 1958, the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences has honored top artists, recognizing their talent, hard work, and dedication. Winners get a unique golden gramophone trophy that represents their efforts, creativity, and impact on the music industry. The Grammy trophy is famous and meaningful to many people in the music industry. It's a major milestone in an artist's career and a symbol of the recognition they've earned from their peers and fans. The trophy is made from a special gold-plated metal called Gramium, which is designed to be both beautiful and durable, allowing it to remain iconic for years to come. Winning a Grammy can help launch an artist into a new level of fame and respect, opening doors to new opportunities and solidifying their place in music history. Just to name drop a few winners, Taylor Swift won Album of the Year in 2024 for her record-breaking album Midnights, marking her 4th win in this category. Billie Eilish made history in 2020 at just 18 years old, winning Record of the Year for Bad Guy and Album of the Year for When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? Adele's 2012 Grammy win included Record of the Year for Rolling in the Deep and Album of the Year for 21, cementing her status as a vocal icon. And Bruno Mars dominated the 2018 Grammys with Record of the Year for 24K Magic and Album of the Year for the album of the same name, bringing his signature funk pop style to the forefront. As you can see, the Grammys mean business. Now let's take a closer look at how exactly they're made. The process of making a Grammy trophy starts with heating the Gramium alloy to 644 degrees Fahrenheit. This high temperature turns the metal into a liquid state that can be easily shaped. The molten metal is poured into a carefully crafted bronze mold, which captures every detail of the base, including all the intricate shapes and curves. After pouring the metal, any excess is drained out, leaving behind a hollow cast that cools and hardens over time. This hollow casting makes the trophy lighter, which is especially important for the artist who lift it during the award ceremony, although we'll talk more on that later. The gramophone's cabinet and tone arm are also made from Gramium, giving a consistent design throughout the entire trophy. Once the casting is complete, craftsmen work on refining the details of the trophy. They use belt sanders to remove larger imperfections from the metal and smooth out rough surfaces. Then, hand files are used to perfect smaller areas that the belt sander can't reach, making sure every part of the trophy is precise. This mix of machine work and careful hand finishing gives the trophy its high-quality appearance. After sanding, the craftsmen polish the metal using an abrasive compound on a buffing wheel, which helps bring out the shiny mirror-like finish that makes the Grammy trophy visually stunning. The horn of the gramophone is made from bronze and requires a slightly different process. It starts as a flat bronze disc, which is cut to the correct size. After cutting, the disc is mounted on a lathe, and craftsmen use tools to shape it into the classic horn shape. This step demands a lot of skill because the horn must be even and symmetrical to look good whilst maintaining its strength. Once shaped, the horn is polished until it shines as brightly as the rest of the trophy, making sure all the pieces have a consistent, beautiful appearance. With all the individual parts of the trophy ready, the assembly process begins. The tone arm is attached to the cabinet using a chemical called flux, which helps the solder flow into tiny gaps between the components. The craftsmen then use solder to create a strong connection, ensuring that the parts are securely bonded. After soldering, any leftover residue is carefully cleaned off, as cleanliness adds an extra quality to the finished product. One of the final steps in making a Grammy trophy is the gold plating process, which is intricate and fascinating. Since gold does not stick directly to the zinc and gramium, the craftsmen first plate the trophy with copper. This is done using a method called electroplating. The craftsmen submerge both the trophy and a piece of copper in a plating tank filled with a special solution, then apply an electric current. The electric current causes copper particles to stick to the trophy, creating a layer of copper that will help the gold stick later. After the copper layer is complete, they add a layer of nickel, which helps create a solid base that makes the gold layer shine even brighter. Finally, the trophy is plated with 24 karat gold, giving it the luxurious finish that makes it such a prized award. The base of the trophy also requires a lot of attention to detail. The craftsmen start by smoothing the surface of the base using a belt sander, then finish it by hand so every part is even. After that, an epoxy primer is applied to the base, which helps create a smooth surface for the paint to stick to. The primer is allowed to dry, and then the craftsmen sand it again to make sure it's even. This process is repeated with a black primer, which provides the base a deep, rich color. Finally, they apply a high-gloss, chip-resistant black paint, which gives the base a sleek and durable finish that complements the gold-plated gramophone. This careful preparation of the base adds to the overall elegance of the trophy. Once every part of the Grammy trophy is complete, the final assembly takes place. The gold-plated cabinet and tone arm are bolted to the painted base so that all the pieces fit together perfectly. The horn is then screwed into the tone arm. Each finished trophy is checked for any imperfections, and every detail is inspected to verify that it matches the exact specifications. The entire process of making a Grammy trophy takes about 15 hours, one that requires patience, precision, and a high level of craftsmanship. The result is a stunning trophy that I think is worthy of being presented to the best musicians in the world. Wouldn't you agree? One interesting fact about the Grammy trophies is that the ones handed out during the awards ceremony aren't the ones the winners get to keep. Yes, it's true. On stage, artists are given temporary prop trophies that are reused each year. These stage trophies look identical to the real ones but aren't personalized. The winners' actual trophies, complete with engraved brass plates featuring their name and category, are sent out a few weeks later. For John Billings, this process is deeply personal. Each Grammy we make, he says, and I quote, "In our minds, it's going to a superstar. It's our way of giving back to those who've given so much to us. So the next time your favorite artist takes the stage and raises that golden gramophone, remember John Billings, the man who made it all possible one trophy at a time. Now, let's move on to the Oscar statuette. The Academy Awards, more commonly known as the Oscars, are seen as the top honor in the film industry. It was designed by MGM art director Cedric Gibbons and sculpted in 3D by George Stanley. The statue shows a knight holding a sword while standing on a reel of film. The design has a lot of meaning, with each of the 5 spokes of the reel representing one of the original branches of the Academy: producers, directors, writers, actors, and technicians. It stands about 13.5 inches tall, with a base that is 5.25 inches wide and weighing in at 8.5 pounds. But where does the name Oscar come from? The true origin remains unclear, but one popular story is that someone from the Academy thought the statue looked like her uncle Oscar, and the name stuck ever since. In this segment, we'll explore 5 major topics: how much it costs to produce an Oscar statue, what happens if someone tries to sell one, the financial effect of winning Best Picture, how winning an Oscar impacts an actor's earnings, and finally, the manufacturing process. To start off, let's look at the Oscar statue itself. Contrary to what many people believe, the statue isn't made of solid gold. Instead, it is gold-plated bronze, estimated to be worth about $629. But what if you wanted to sell your Oscar? Unfortunately, you wouldn't make much money, just a single dollar. That's because of an Academy rule that states anyone who wants to sell their Oscar must first offer it back to the Academy for $1. This rule has been in place since 1950, so Oscars awarded before that year can still be sold on the market. For example, Michael Jackson famously bought the Oscar awarded to Gone with the Wind in 1939 for more than $2 million, adjusted for inflation. Unlike the Oscars, Golden Globe trophies can be sold without restriction. Some A-list celebrities have sold theirs for upwards of $100,000, while lesser-known names might only get a few $1,000s. Interesting, right? But wait a minute. What kind of box office boost does winning Best Picture actually bring to a film? Well, according to CBS News, winning this prestigious award can add around $14 million to the movie's box office earnings. However, Edmund Helmer from BoxOfficeQuant.com has a different take. He suggests the increase is closer to $3 million when accounting for factors like the timing of the release and how well the movie was already doing. On the other hand, winning a Golden Globe for Best Picture might lead to an increase of around $14.2 million. This could be because the Golden Globes are held earlier, allowing films to gain momentum leading up to the Oscars. Next, let's talk about how winning an Oscar can affect an actor's career. Research from Colgate University shows that an Oscar win leads to an average salary bump of $2.3 million for actors. But there's a clear gender disparity. Male actors see an average increase of $3.9 million, while female actors only see about $550,000 or more. It highlights the fact that there is still a long way to go in addressing the pay gap in Hollywood. And finally, we have arrived at the manufacturing process. The Oscar statue is made through a careful and detailed process that begins at R.S. Owens in Chicago, a company known for making these prestigious awards. Each year, they create between 50 and 60 Oscar statues, and every one of them has to meet the high-quality standards set by the Academy Awards. The process starts with creating a mold for the statue. This mold shapes Britannia metal, which is heated to 960 degrees Fahrenheit before being poured in. Once the metal cools and hardens, it forms the recognizable shape of the Oscar statue. After the mold is taken off, the statue goes through a refining process to remove any rough spots, making sure it is smooth and ready for what lies ahead. The next step is polishing. Each statue is polished by hand to make it smooth and shiny. This step highlights all the details of the statue, like the knight's armor and the film reel under his feet. Polishing must be done carefully to guarantee that the statue looks flawless. After polishing, the statue goes through electroplating, which means it gets coated in different layers of metal. It starts with a layer of copper to prevent rust, followed by a layer of nickel that helps the other layers stick well. Next, a layer of silver is applied to create a bright, reflective surface. The final layer is 24 karat gold, which gives the statue its famous golden shine. These layers give the Oscar its long-lasting, impressive look. While the statue is being prepared, the base is also made separately. The base is formed from brass, spun into shape, and polished before being coated with black nickel to give it a sleek appearance. A small plate is added to the base to show that it is an official Academy Award. Once the statue and base are both ready, they are assembled, and each Oscar is given a unique identification number for tracking and authenticity. The final assembly involves attaching the statue securely to its base, and a felt pad is placed underneath to protect surfaces. The Oscar is then packed carefully with protective materials to help it arrive at the ceremony in perfect condition. The last step is adding the nameplate for the winner. This isn't done until after the Oscar ceremony because the winners are kept secret until they are announced. Once the nameplate is engraved, the Oscar becomes a true representation of the winner's accomplishments in filmmaking. From start to finish, creating each Oscar statue takes skill, detail, and care. It's not a simple trophy. Rather, it's an outward display signifying the inward dedication, creativity, and talent that go into making movies. Every year when these statues are handed out, the eyes of filmmakers from around the world widen. And while the ceremony adds excitement, the way these iconic statues are made is an interesting story on its own. So the next time someone flexes their Grammy or Oscar, remember, it started as a blob of metal, just like the rest of us. But after getting smelted, blasted, and buffed to oblivion, it's transformed into the ultimate look-at-me accessory. Honestly, they're just fancy paperweights with an ego. Still, if you're gonna win a trophy, it might as well be one of these. And since you're already here, you might as well check out our other videos. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one.